I think it's good to become management class again, though, after you use things a while, because sometimes you don't, you haven't done it enough to really,
I think the first time we don't even. You're born with all the stuff and you don't even know what you're talking about. Then we do it, right? It's like, oh, that'll come in bad.
yeah, then you'll get something more. Yeah, exactly. I agree. All right, well, it is 1:01, so we'll get started. I don't wait, I start on time because we have to finish on time. Because there's something right after us. Well, I won't introduce myself. This is just you two, nobody on Zoom yet anyway. And we might be able to just get in a little bit to the DocuSign stuff if nobody else shows up. Okay, but if somebody else shows up, then we gotta like do my regular class. All right, so I pulled up a fake contact right here. So tell me a little bit about where you guys are right now with opportunities.
Well, I know how to go and create it
Yeah,
and then.
great.
It's just trying to think if there's anything in it.
Okay, yeah.
What I can do on my phone.
Yeah, you're limited in what you can do. with your phone. Yeah,
But it is something.
there is some things you can do with your phone, and opportunities has a pretty good amount of stuff that you can do. Okay. Yeah, well, I think, one of the things that I see when I'm just kind of looking around at everybody else's opportunities is that a lot of people aren't doing it early enough in the process. So what happens with a lot of people is they are creating an opportunity, like almost when it's time to get paid, or when they have solid thing, right? You've already got the buyer under contract or something like that. But actually, the time when you really should be creating an opportunity is the point where you have a conversation with them and they have a need to buy or sell or rent within the next, say, 12 months. So you do it pretty early on. They're not pre-approved yet. Or if it's a seller, maybe they aren't even ready to sell yet. It's just they're saying, next, my kid graduates high school in May, and that's when we want to move. Like I would make an opportunity right now for them, even though it's not until May. Yeah, and kind of the reason that we do it that way is that lets you have your opportunities pipeline sort of be your place to remember. These are the people I can't forget. So I can do all this lead gen to get new business, but I really need to make sure as part of my lead gen that I'm doing follow-up with all those people that are in my pipeline. It's just sort of this extra level of importance there. And what a lot of people do, I sometimes do this, sometimes I don't, I need to get back to it. A lot of people just have a special day of the week where they focus on looking at that pipeline and just following up with people in the pipeline. So you might say, every Wednesday, I'm gonna take care of my pipeline. Not everybody needs a phone call every week, right? So somebody who is a year out, 9 months out, you might call every month or two. It's not going to be something you're doing all the time. I'm probably every month and I'm calling them. And then as they get closer, then I'll start calling them every other week. And then when we're really close, then I'm calling them once a week. And then when we are actually in a transaction, I'm usually calling them more than one time a week. But I still have a reminder task to myself to call them once a week, just in case, for whatever reason, something happens and I don't have a reason to call them. So it just always reminds me to stay in touch. So anyway, we just pull up
Under the opportunities, I'm trying to remember when you were saying, okay, when we're creating it, to put the address. Is that what you said to do the address?
Let's do the whole thing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it here. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna create an opportunity for this fake, friends list of contact. And a couple things about that. So first of all, with an opportunity, every transaction needs its own opportunity. So if you have a person who's doing both a buy and a sell, you actually need two opportunities. One for them buying the house and one for them selling the house. So two opportunities. And the reason for that is you're gonna have different people involved in those transactions. You're getting a separate commission check for them, right? So you're gonna need to submit your commission separately. You're gonna have different prices, timelines, everything. So if you have both, if somebody's both buying and selling, 2 opportunities. I have clients in here that are investors where I've done multiple transactions with them. Every single transaction has its own opportunity. However, you don't need a new opportunity if a contract falls through. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have a buyer, you put a house under contract. You get to the inspections, a whole bunch of stuff comes up and your buyer gets out of the contract based on the results of the inspection. The opportunity is already there. When they go under contract again, you're not gonna make a new opportunity. You're gonna just add new, you're gonna just change the existing opportunity.
So that's what we could go in and change the opportunity name, to
Well,
that
the
current
name is-
address.
The name is a piece of it, but there's an even more important piece that I'll show you in a second. Yeah, so but the thing I'm trying to get to is like each transaction is an opportunity.
Mhm.
Okay, and if something falls through, you don't create a new opportunity. I've had multiple times where I've had a listing that falls through. You know, so even if I go through 3 buyers, it's still 1 opportunity, because I'm just still trying to sell that one darn house. You know, or if you're with a buyer who's trying to buy a house, even if a few contracts fall through, it's still the same opportunity. Okay, but a different opportunity if they're buying multiple properties, or if they're buying one and selling one, those are each a separate. And the way to think of it is every time you're gonna get a commission check on something, it needs its own opportunity. That's a kind of an easy way to think of it, you know? Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and create an opportunity here. So I'm in my contact, I'm clicking the opportunities tab. Oh, hey, there's people in here. Hello on Zoom. For some reason, it just popped up and there's 3 of you here. So I was just kind of introducing it. So I'm going to kind of repeat something I just said, since you guys missed it. I was looking too and Zoom, it didn't, there's no notification there. Yeah, so with commands, I need a new opportunity for each transaction. But I don't need a new opportunity if a contract falls through. So if I have a buyer whose contract falls through, I'm going to stay with the same opportunity and just redo it. If I have somebody who's both buying and selling, that's 2 opportunities. And so what we're doing here is I'm in my fake friend Flintstone contact. Everybody on Zoom, can you see my screen all right and everything? Someone on Zoom?
Yeah, I'm 2 minutes away. I will be right there in 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, great. I'm glad. Very good. We'll see you soon. All right,
Okay,
so
bye.
I'm on the opportunities tab and I'm going to click create opportunity. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to need to do is choose whether this is a buyer or a seller. Okay, is it a listing or is it a buyer? Okay, so I'm just going to pretend that this is a listing. You don't have to enter in everything, but let me just tell you some things we are going to enter. First of all, with the opportunity name, this was Cynthia's question. My personal preference is to always put the property address as the opportunity name. Makes it a lot easier later when you're trying to find something. Okay, always the property address. However, with the buyer, you don't know the property address when you first make the opportunity, right? Because we said in the beginning when everybody got here that I'm going to make an opportunity as soon as I know somebody has an interest in buying or selling, even if it's 12 months out. I'm not waiting to do the opportunity until they're, we're all the way at closing, doing it well in advance so that I have this list of people I need to keep in touch with. So if I'm working with a buyer, I have no idea what the property address is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it as their name if it happens to be a buyer. And then later on, when we find a property and put it under contract, then I'll just change the name of the opportunity. Okay, so we'll come back to it later. Okay. I don't usually use custom tags myself for opportunities, but some of you might, if you wanted to, just like tags with contacts, you can make tags for opportunities. Some people use them for to tag, I don't know, all the ones that are condos, for example. I could just have a condo tag and have all my condo opportunities or investor opportunities. I personally don't find a need to do it, but yeah, go ahead if you'd like to. Below at the very bottom, you don't have to enter in everything because sometimes I don't know. So if I'm doing it properly and if I'm entering my opportunity, even if I'm a year out, if this is a listing, I don't know when exactly it's going to close yet. I mean, maybe even have an estimated close date. Maybe I do. If the person told me I'm going to sell in May after my kids graduate school, then I'll just put like maybe June of next year, June 30th or whatever. It doesn't really matter that much what you put here. This is just for your own sort of planning purposes. It doesn't affect anything. So you just take your best guess. And if you have no idea, you can leave it blank. You can also choose a time frame. And what choosing a time frame, again, is also just for your own use. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, up to 12 months, just for my own guess. And I need to put in an estimated listing price. Again, if it's 12 months out, you're just taking a guess. Now, this number that you put here is only going to be used for your planning purposes. When we go and look at our pipeline, Command's going to give us an estimate of how much we're going to be earning over the next 12 months. And it's going to use this number here. So if it's inaccurate, like a year out, you're probably not going to be right guessing the list price. If it's 1 month out, you're probably right. You probably know what it is. So you just take a guess and more than you might be like. I do have to enter a commission rate. The command won't let me proceed without putting something there. If you aren't sure of what it is, you can change it later. So you can just take a guess. And then later on, you can change it. Again, this is also only for your planning purposes. That's all it's used for.
I have a question
Yeah,
for the commission rate.
yeah.
How does that apply? What would you write for, it's really a dollar sign, I think. Can you do percentage?
You can do, yes, I put 2.5%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking of the, when it's a tenant.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and again,
how would you put that in, because you're not getting, how would you put that into a tenant? Yes.
okay,
So
so,
because you're not gonna get, it's usually 50% of first month's rent.
yeah, you just are going to guess.
Oh, just the dollar amount.
Yeah, just guess. Because
I think the tenant.
with the tenant, I think I'll make a tenant one and we can take a look at it. The biggest part about this,
Enter amount.
yeah, it's just, and you're just guessing. Again, anything you put here, it's not binding. It's not gonna show up on your contract, nothing like that. Like this is so that later on, when I want to have a look of what's my whole year gonna be like, it's as accurate as possible. So it really doesn't matter, right? It only matters for your own, previewing your year, but it doesn't change anything later. So I have to enter any commission amount. You're just gonna guess if you don't know what it is. And this is the commission just for your side. You're not doing the commission amount for the whole transaction, just the amount that's on your side.
For the tenant, it says this, the lease price, enter amount, commission, enter amount.
Let it enter amounts, yes. Yes. You'll guess. Yeah. I can also choose a phase and a stage. Now, when we get into opportunities, I'm going to show you how you can make some customization for this, but this is just your guess of how far along this is. So if this is this pretend what I'm doing first is a listing. So I can choose from cultivate or appointment. So cultivate, I'm kind of nurturing that thing along. Appointment means I've already either scheduled it or had an appointment, or I could have an active listing when I'm first making this. Okay. And then within cultivate, I even have watch, nurture, hide, and you can change these to be custom for what you want. You don't have to leave with what command has. Okay. But again, all of this doesn't change the transaction. It's for your own predicting your future income. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at cultivate and watch. We're just going to say this person is 12 months out at a listing. I'm just going to nurture this thing. So I'm going to hit create. Okay. Once I've created the opportunity, it shows up right here in my opportunity timeline. Let's say that Fred Flintstone here is also buying a house in a year. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make an opportunity for that too, so we have a chance to see that. So at the top, again, I'm just gonna hit create opportunity. Gonna do it with the correct side of the mouse. Anybody who's been in this class before knows this mouse drives me crazy. Okay, this time it's a buyer. So Fred Flintstone is selling that house, but he's also gonna buy this one. Okay, so again, I've got to just do some guessing. I can't change the opportunity name yet because I don't know what house he's buying. So I'm gonna leave it with his name. I can put an estimated close date in if I want, but I don't have to. I must put in a commission rate. So I'm gonna do 2.5% because probably that other agent is offering 2.5. And then again, I can choose my phase stage. And then it'll create an opportunity. Okay, so I just made 2 opportunities. I made a listing and a buyer. All right, now let's make some changes to these. So let's say that, oh shoot, I noticed I forgot to change this name. Instead of putting the property address, I left it at Fred Flintstone listing. I want to change that. Or maybe I just got off the phone with him and now things are sped up. Instead of doing this in 12 months, we're going to do it in 6 months. Okay, so I can make some changes anytime I want to. And I'll do that by clicking on the opportunity. It'll open up my opportunity screen for me. Okay, and then we've got all these tabs. Okay, going across. Right now, we're going to start off on the details tab. Okay, so the details tab is the place that you can change the things we already entered or enter in more details. So if I want to change anything, I first want to point out, you can barely see it. There's a little pencil right here. I have made the suggestion to make this pencil darker because it's really hard to see on your screen. And people lose it all the time. It's to the left of the word property. If I hover over it, you can see it now. But when my mouse isn't over it, it just feels like it just almost becomes invisible. And so almost everybody can't find that thing. So it really needs to be darker. But I can edit these details anytime by clicking that pencil. You can change things about it. So first of all, I forgot to change the name of the listing to be the property address. So I'm just going to go back and do that right now. I clicked that little pencil to edit it. I'm going to select the text here and just put in the property address. It has Fred Flintstone's name in there. We have the phases of it. And then there's also a place for me to put in when I've scheduled an appointment, when I've held an appointment, when I've got an agreement, when I've got it under contract. I can enter in all these milestones. Why do you think you'd want to do that? You have a guess? So, okay, so details in here could go to DocuSign. Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, there's another reason I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you, when it's like done, and the listing, it's been, this is when you're trying to submit all of the documentation
Yeah.
so that you can get paid.
Yeah,
All of that is gonna be.
everything's already done in advance. That's a really good point. I'm a big proponent of doing everything early. Like when I get to my closing, my opportunity, I've got my commission. I did my commission a month ago. You know what I mean? I did everything as soon as I could do it. So just submitting that commission hardly takes me any time because I've already done it. So that's a good point. There's another thing I'm thinking of.
Your data, your numbers and all.
Track your goals. Yes, exactly. That's right. You guys are that's what I was thinking of. Is that if I put my appointment set date in here and I put my appointment held date in here,
Yeah.
later on, you're gonna come to my class of goal setting. I have a whole class on it. And you're gonna need this information when you get to the goal setting. So we're not gonna do it today because I only have an hour, but there's a part of Command where I can set my goals for the year. And then as long as I tell Command I went on an appointment, this is how I tell Command I went on an appointment. As long as I do that, then Command will tell me, here's how many appointments you need to do this year. Here's how many you've done this year. And Command will keep track of that for me. When are you doing that class? So I don't know if it's been scheduled yet. So here's what we have. This is a 12-week series, and this is week 3 of the series. It's maybe 12 weeks. I change it every time, so it might be 10, might be 13. I don't know yet. We'll kind of see as it goes. I think that was kind of near the end, but if you want to see it now, all of them are recorded. And you can just watch the YouTube of last time I taught it,
Okay.
totally fine, but it's much better if you're here and I can look over your shoulder, so come back for that. But it's really cool, because I want everybody to do that this fall. If when you're doing your business planning, about October, November, Command will open up the part for next year's plan. Okay, so you'll get a link where you'll be able to click it and put in your 2024 goals. And then in 2024, if you get really good about remembering to put in your appointment scheduled and appointment held and all that, you're gonna be able to look at your screen and say, okay, I had to do this many appointments and, here's how many I did. I'll know if I'm on track for the whole year. It's really nice. Okay. So anyway, I can enter as much as I want. So let's say I got off the phone with them and now my time frame sped up. Instead of being 12 months, they've decided they're gonna be in about 6 months. And so maybe I'll put in an estimated close date. That's at the end of January, is that right? Okay, so let's say, oops, too fast. Okay, so I could put in an estimated close date if I want. It's just an estimate. And I've scheduled an appointment, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. My appointment is on there. There's my appointment scheduled. So as I go through, I can enter in this anything I know. I'll do an estimated list price too. Let's do that. Okay, it's gonna list report and awesome. Right, but I don't know any of these other dates yet either. These numbers down here are not used for part of your goal setting. So it's not as important to enter these, like when you did the photography or whatever. You still can. I usually do. It doesn't hurt anything. Doesn't really get used by much, but you'll have a record of exactly when you did everything, and if you choose to do so. All right, so I'm gonna hit save. So you can see I can at any point go back to that opportunity and change it if you make a mistake, or if the circumstances change, you can edit it anytime you want to. Couple more things about this. First of all, I want to point out the select from listings button right here. It's gray. I'm not going to be able to do that right now because this is a fake listing. But if it weren't fake, if it was a real listing, I would click on select from listings, and then it's going to pull up my listings. So these are all my properties.
Since you're talking about that, it's amazing, I have one listing.
Yeah.
It's been in the market for 10 days
Okay.
and it's still not showing up on the Command website.
Okay.
It's everywhere on the internet, everywhere.
You might need to resync if it's not showing up.
I just updated the price last night.
No, I mean sync command to your listings. So, okay.
So
I have to remember. You know what? It's been so long since I've done it.
well, why does that happen? Now, all my other listings are there.
In
Well, not
command?
that- Yeah, I see,
Okay.
the history, the other listings, but that particular listing, they didn't show the picture nor anything. And it's everywhere on the internet. I don't know why it's not syncing from. Right.
I'm not sure either, but I'd like to take a look at it after class if you want to send me.
I sent
Okay.
an email to.
That would be
Jack and yeah.
And I'll just see if what I can figure out. I might look on your screen and see what I can figure out. Because they show up pretty quick. So if this were a real, I'm not gonna do it since it's not real, but in reality, I would just hit select.
Yeah.
And then it would connect that listing to that opportunity.
Oh.
Do you see it in there? And here's another thing. Let me just show you this. Right here, it says all statuses. You see mine says all statuses. Make sure
Yeah.
yours says all statuses.
Oh, yeah, no, it says that it's active. Even if you want to email it from my
Yeah.
consumer website is there, well, the picture is not showing up. It's just
Okay.
none of pictures.
Yeah, that's weird. You know what? Actually, try this. Just do something to your pictures, like rearrange them on your listing and publish it again and see if that fixes it.
But I just reduced the price and that didn't do it. But you think just the pictures are like.
Reorganize the
Okay.
pictures and just
Okay.
see if that works. But anyway, one of the places where people run into trouble is with these two. You want it to say all statuses, because if I'm showing closed listings, I'm not gonna see my active one. And I want only my listing, or else I'm gonna see everybody's listings. Okay, which you don't want because it's your listing. All right, so we'll have to come back to that, Jackie, after. Okay,
Should I should do.
Yeah. Okay, so I select from listings to get this listing. Seller profile will just give me some information about that seller. There's not that much to it. It's only gonna work if they have registered with the consumer platform using your app. So if your seller has not done that or your buyer have not done that, you can't use this tab at all.
So should we tell them to, should we send them that Keller Williams app?
So here's the advantage if you do. Okay, so the question is, should we send the Keller Williams app to our clients? If you do, there's a couple of benefits to you. First of all, if they're searching around, you're gonna be able to see what they're looking at, which is really nice for a buyer. They can show you in their contact, you'll see, oh, they liked 123 Main Street. So that's why one of the reasons I like to share the app with them. In the app, there's also a buyer and seller guide that tells them you can tell them what step of the process they're on. And so some people like it for that. So try it before you send it to a client. What I would suggest you do is log into the consumer app with like a different email, not your Keller Williams email, but like, we all have extra emails. Put it in, my Fred Flintstone's and Ben's Money Fred Flintstone, like I just log in under Fred Flintstone with a different email. And just pretend you're that consumer and just see what happens. See what happens when you look at a house. Check your desktop command and see what it looks like. Try the buyer and seller guide, see what it looks like in command. Because it's pretty useful.
And how do you send that?
The app,
No, yeah, let's say you wanna send it 123 Main Street to the.
so let me come back to that because that's not part of opportunities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is really just about this stuff.
Oh, okay.
Now, so I'm going through the tabs. I have to detail seller profile. The next tab is marketing. If you have not played around with this is really cool. But what command does is it suggests marketing items for the stage of the opportunity. So you're going to see different things here depending on where your opportunity is. If you are already under contract, it's an active listing, you're going to see flyers. If it's before your appointment, you're going to see the seller presentation. Okay, so what this is command is suggesting some designs that you might want to use given where you are in the process with this client. Now we have more than one class on designs. One of the classes on designs is next week. Next week, we'll be doing a buyer and seller presentation, and we'll be talking about how to do pre-designed emails in command. All right, so that's next week. And then there's another class on, I do a bunch of designs because there's just so much you can do with it. So play around with these if you want. Come back next week, you'll know how to edit these. But it's just kind of nice that they suggest some things that you might want to do.
So do you have to have it sync with your listing, or will it give you the suggestions before that?
It'll give you suggestions before that, but there are some designs that use the details from your listing.
Okay.
So for example, if I'm doing an open house flyer,
Yeah.
I want command to know my listing so that it pulls the photos from my listing from my open house flyer by itself. And so next week is buyer and seller presentation. It might be the week after that we're doing that. I'm not really sure. Sometime within the next few weeks, we do like a flyer, how to get an open house flyer, how to do, we do postcards, we do all sorts of things. Okay, documents. This is one you're going to use a lot. So if you've had any transactions, you've had to do this. This is where we store all of the documents that are attached to that transaction. And this is also for compliance, right? Because we want to make sure we've got everything right. We need a second pair of eyes on our documents. Plus, the brokerage has to store our documents for 5 years. What if 2 years later, there's some kind of legal action or something like that, and somebody needs to see your documents? It's so important to have everything linked here. And the way this works, so we're going to do another DocuSign class soon. I've had a couple of suggestions. We need to do that again, so I'll make sure that gets on the calendar. But so I can't get into DocuSign today because we've got a half hour left. There's so much. It always happens. It's like, what is this? But if you've got your documents in DocuSign, Okay, so either you use DocuSign for people to sign them, or you just printed them out, sign them with a pen and you scan them into DocuSign, that works too. Okay, as long as they're in DocuSign, I'm going to be able to attach these documents to this list right here. Okay, and there's a couple ways you can do this, so let me show you, gonna move this out of the way. So what I want to point out is that the very, very first time that you go to DocuSign for this transaction, you must use this button right here that says start a transaction. And here's the reason for that. When you click start a transaction, here's what happens. Command goes to DocuSign and makes a room for you that is linked to this person in command. So there's a room in DocuSign, there's this opportunity in command, and command has them linked together. Okay, so that's why we do it like this. And as an extra added bonus, because I've told command that this person is a seller, it's going to automatically put into that room documents that you might need for a seller. Now, I'm often going to need something that's not there. You know, it doesn't know what, you know, it's like the county document I bring in, or the condo or HOA or whatever it is. I'll still add some, but you start off with the basics. Okay.
For when you're working with a buyer in this crazy market, like, you know, you're making offer after.
Yeah.
So do you have to type in to create this transaction every single time that the person makes an offer?
No. So here's how that'll work. Actually, let's do it with let's go to that.
That has been a nightmare.
Yes, so let's do this. Let me go back to my pipeline for a second. Let me come over to that. So what I just clicked is the pipeline. And to get to the screen, I can just click on opportunities on the left side. This is my pipeline. So this is showing me my transactions. Okay, so I've got everything in my pipeline there for both buyers and sellers. Okay, so Fred Flintstone, I put him in as a cultivate. Okay, find Fred here. Here he is. Okay. All right, so what I do in command is I make sure that in my details, I've got the information that I need. Okay, so right now it's blank. That's not very good. Let me go to my invisible edit menu and just type some stuff in. If I had taken the time to put this in my contact, then that would have been better. Let's do that. Let's just do that. Let's just go back to Fred Flintstone. Let's just make sure we've got, go to contacts. Make sure I've got everything here that I need for him. Okay. All right, so phone number, got an email. Okay, I've got a home address. It's my house. Okay, good. I had done this a while ago, so I just wasn't sure what I had here. All right, so let's go to my buyer opportunity for Fred. Okay, I'm going to go to my documents tab. And like I said, the very, very first time, I must click start a transaction in order to establish that link. Later on, you don't have to do this. Later on, when I want to use those documents, I can just go directly to DocuSign and go to the correct room. There's no need to go to command first. It doesn't hurt to go through it, but it's not necessary.
So then you will just rename the room?
Hold on, let me log in and show you.
You submitted, first offer didn't get accepted, then they want to make an offer on a different property. Then you don't have to write the whole thing all over.
No,
No.
you definitely don't. You just
edit
edit it and do the new
I mean,
one.
auto-populates and everything, but then
So
the only thing you have to change is the center.
you'll have done, when you do one PDF, like you do the first, I'm just waiting to get a verification code and that's not sending it. If let's say I wrote an entire offer for a buyer and it didn't get accepted, right? I can go back to the form that I used for that last offer and just make whatever's different, just change whatever's different for this offer. So that's definitely the property address and the price, settlement date or whatever. I don't have all of the
On
other stuff.
each form, you have to modify it, or you can.
No, just one time.
Change the address, and they.
Right, but it might be other things too, like I might need, now I need, I don't know, whatever form, you know? Yeah, like things are gonna change for sure.
Cancel everything and then redo everything.
No, because what
Edit, select forms.
what happens in DocuSign is there's gonna be two files. One of them is gonna be the form that you fill out, and then one is going to be the PDF that's already been signed. So the PDF that's already been signed stays there from your old offer, and you can adjust that form for the next offer. And so I can do it
So
over,
the fields will be there.
the fields will
and
be
ready.
there,
You just have to enter the address.
the new address, maybe a different price, maybe a different
Yeah.
settlement, all that kind of stuff.
But my question is, would I have to do that on each form?
No.
I only do it once, and then
Once.
I'll just populate on all the forms.
Right, so I put the new address in, and then all of the other ones have the new
Really?
address. Hold on a second, let me get. I don't know if I'll be able to do this quick enough. Let's see this. See how fast I can do this. All right, so, because this is actually leading to something I wanted to show you that is very hard to figure out on your own, but everybody needs. Okay, so I'm gonna, after I do this, I'm gonna show you something cool.
You
Okay.
recorded this, right?
It's being recorded. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm opening up the form for the buyer tenant agreement. Okay. And we're just gonna change a little bit so that I have time to do this. Okay, we're not gonna do the whole thing. So it already pulled in like Fred. So Fred's info is in here. They took from command, you know, his email, whatever. Let me just put in. Oh, this, you know, I did the wrong one.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that one. I meant to do the contract to sale. Yep. Here we go. Okay, so just let me just point out, this is a form. So when you see the blue form, that means it's something you get to type in. Okay, so I'm opening up the correct form this time instead of the wrong one. Okay. Done. Okay, so all I'm gonna do in this one is the property address because I'm not gonna take too much time, okay? But you're gonna pretend I filled out the whole thing. All right, so this one is 123 Main Street in Catonsville. Okay, save and close. Okay. Oh, shoot, I have to, you know, in order to do this, I would have to send an envelope and all that. I don't know if I can do this quick. All right, let's just do it real quick. Envelope, I'm going to have to buyer one. And the problem is it's really slow in DocuSign as well. So what I'll be able to do is I'll send it, right, and it'll end up with a PDF at the end. Okay, I'm gonna have this, I'm just gonna change this to my personal Gmail so I can sign it real quick on my cell phone.
Once it's sent, it changes to PDF.
That's correct.
Okay.
It doesn't change the PDF, it adds an additional PDF, let's say it like that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm sending it to myself right now. Okay. Waiting for it to come. Okay, here it is, review documents. Okay. Continue, start, fine. Saved. Finish. Okay, I signed it real quick. And just like every one of your buyers, I didn't read a single word of what I was
Yeah.
saying. Okay. Okay,
It's
fine.
no, like, hurry up, the deadline.
Right, okay, so it's signed. Okay, so let's look at what it says in my documents now. Okay, so in my documents. So. let's see. I'm trying to make it go faster than it is. Okay, it's saying completed here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now, look, here's my form residential contract of sale, and here's my signed residential contract of sale. Okay, so there's two. The one that's signed, this is a PDF that has the signature for 123 Main Street. So if I open that up, you're gonna see, and I didn't bother to fill in anything else. But it does have the 123 Main Street here. Okay, so that's already signed.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so. Contract fell through, somebody else got it, my buyers wasn't, high enough price, blah, 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 whatever, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna get out of this. Anytime I use Zoom, that little window is blocking everything I need.
Yeah.
But at any point, so this is a PDF. It's not gonna be changed, it still exists, right? I can go ahead and change this form now, and I only need to change what's different. So I'll open it up. Okay. And it's still gonna be in Catonsville, but now it's on a different address. Okay, so instead of 123 Main Street, now I'm making an offer on 456 Main Street. How about that? Okay. Now I'll close it because I'm not gonna take a whole bunch of time for it. All right, let's just open up now. Disclosure inclusions, exclusions. So it says 456 Main Street,
Oh.
because now I'm on that address.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, so it's not too bad.
Mhm.
There's always things to change because so many things are different, but you only have to do it at least one time. And then let me point this out within DocuSign, the place all of these changes are happening is in the details tab. So if you, another way to do this, that's maybe even a better way,
Yeah.
is to open up the details tab,
Yes, and
put in the new details, and then all your documents already have them. Either way works though,
Okay.
either way works.
Awesome.
So there it is. So, but here's the thing that was cool about what your question was that really led into exactly the next thing I wanted to do, because I don't think this is obvious. But what happens to us all is we have, that buyer has to make multiple offers. And you need to store, like, it might go under contract. I'm not really, so let's say that I make the offer and it doesn't get accepted. All I'm gonna do with that is make a folder in my room in DocuSign and just leave those documents in there. I don't need to submit them through Command. Right, so back in DocuSign. Okay, here. I'm gonna go to Actions. I'm gonna do Add Folder. And I'm gonna make a folder called 123 Main Street. And I'm gonna put all my 123 Main Street documents in there just to get them out of the room, get them out of my way. I don't need to.
So now archive and put them in that folder.
That's what I'm doing.
Can you do that?
Yeah, sure.
Just so you can see.
Okay, so yeah, so let me just show you this. Here's my folder I just made called 123 Main Street. Okay, that's the folder. I'm gonna scroll down and find my document. Okay, here it is right here. It's the green. I always look for the green PDF. In fact, for me, I like to do list view like this so I can see things better. For me, it just works better. I could drag it to that folder. Sometimes that's hard to do because I can't get right next to it. So what you can also do is select it. Go up to move, scroll down so you can see this. And then I can select a destination folder. And I want it to go in my 123 Main. And it moves it.
And that way you can see like with that client, how many offers were selected.
Exactly. And look, I can collapse this by clicking this arrow. So now that's collapsed. If this had 45 documents in it, I'm only seeing the folder. I'm not seeing all 45 documents.
Yeah.
This is, for me, it's important. I don't like a giant mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I do is I make a folder. So if my client made 7 offers before they got one accepted, I'm gonna have a separate folder for each offer with all the documents in there. Okay, and then in my room documents, I'm only gonna have what I'm currently using. So if I don't want these forms anymore, if I don't need them, I'm gonna archive them, just get them out of my way. You know, just I just like things neat. Okay. All right, let me go back to Command, because here's what I wanted to show you about this. So let's say you made 6 offers, 1 finally got accepted. Then you went to the inspection. Bad things happened, offer falls through. But you had to submit all your documents already. Okay, so let's just go through how one does that, because this is important. To upload a document, the thing that you always have to get is from, it says it's from DocuSign right here. You're gonna, from here, you're gonna select room docs. It's asking you which folder. Is it in the room docs folder or is it in another folder that you have? And if you don't do that, it's not gonna let you do it. So I always, if it's not working, it's because you haven't selected room docs. And then I can attach files. So let's pretend I'm under contract and I want to attach. I have two options. I can either attach one PDF with everything, okay, right here, fully signed, this is the whole 40 pages. Or I can do them one at a time. And you would do them one at a time, usually if your client had signed electronically, they would be separate individual things sometimes. Maybe not though with all those disclosures, it's probably easier just to do the whole thing, right? All right, so let's just, I'm just gonna put that one file here just because I don't have anything else. It's not a real offer. And so, let's see, I did it to myself. I gotta select room docs. And then I can select, watch what I'm doing here. I'm just, do you see this, Jackie? Do you know how to do this? I just attach whatever file is here. Okay. I had an error. I don't know why. I have to come back to it. So here's what I want to show you is that let's say that I have all of my documents uploaded and I submitted it. It went to compliance. They approved everything. Everything's good. Then the inspection falls through. Okay, so I want a whole new checklist for my new offer, right? Because now I'm submitting another offer. You're gonna go up to this thing right here, this little arrow next to under contract. And what I'm gonna do is say, add new version. And I'll call it, I usually do it by the property address. So this one's 456 Main Street, 123 fell through. Create new version. And then when I do that, now it's showing these are the documents for 456 Main Street. If I wanted to, if I had named, I could go to all of the others I had. So the first one was just called under contract. The new one is 456 Main. See, follow what I'm saying is like you can just have all those documents there. They're still available to you. 5 years from now, if something happens and you need to see those documents, you can get right back to them.
Also, you don't, if for some reason, like what I ended up doing was or when I had
Yeah.
closing last month, I didn't end up, because I just
Right.
didn't know. So I didn't add all those documents
Yeah.
while I was going on. And it was
Yeah.
like already like I have the paycheck, right?
Right.
After settlement, I
Right.
hadn't submitted anything.
She did that to me too.
Right, and you know what I did? I didn't do it for DocuSign. I didn't upload those files for DocuSign. I was able to download, like
Yeah.
I added that one to my email.
Properly. So what I'm gonna show here is how to do it properly.
Right,
Because
yeah,
what I want you to do, I don't want you to do it like that.
yeah, don't do
I
that.
want you to keep everything in DocuSign. And then link it to here from DocuSign, because that's the best way to have everything safe, secure, stored in a format where the brokerage can see it. If you get hit by a bus, brokerage still can access everything. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's there. Or if you just, lose your computer, and like everything's there. Okay. Don't have much time yet, so I need to show you a couple things. I'm gonna get to them. So, while I click that tab, my personal practice is as I'm going through the transaction, anytime I have an extra document, I just go ahead and upload it there. And then I wait to submit it. So like if I get the inspection report back, oh, now I just got a receipt from the chimney. Oh, and now I just got a whatever. I just keep uploading them as they come. It's just my habit to do that. And then that way, when the transaction's over, I don't have to sit there and think about, oh, do I have everything? I've just been kind of putting it in there the whole time. You're gonna be able to submit it whenever you're ready.
How do you upload that document? Like,
Put them in DocuSign. And then choose any item that they go to from the checklist. So they're in DocuSign. And then in this list, I choose the item that fits best. So under contract, put them in DocuSign first, from your computer into DocuSign. And then from here,
How did you put it when you computer?
yeah, sure. So in documents, sure, let me go to, this is easy. Watch this, when I'm in DocuSign, I'm gonna click this add button right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is inside the buyers.
It's on your computer somewhere. The other
Oh, so you don't have
agent,
to be in the buyer's, opportunity.
yes, I do.
That's the
So I'm in
buyer,
the correct room.
okay.
I'm in the
That's
correct
good.
room.
Okay,
So the other agent just sent you a receipt from the
Yeah.
chimney.
yeah,
You just go to that computer,
okay.
add and choose computer and upload.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yes, super, super easy. Okay, commissions. This is important. Right? This is where you enter in your commission information, and I would highly recommend that you not wait until you're about to get paid to do this. Because when I'm talking to people on the phone who are like, they want to get paid and they're rushing, and that's when you make mistakes, when you're rushing. So instead, you can do this as soon as it's under contract and just don't hit submit. Just wait to hit submit until it settles, but you can get everything entered. And I really like doing that because then you're not gonna forget, oh yeah, I had to pay somebody a referral fee on this one, or whatever it is.
So you can enter without hitting submit.
Just don't hit submit until it settles.
Okay.
Okay, so here I'm gonna do. I'll just leave it. Paid offer. Okay, so I kind of scroll through these. It just has all these options. I can select the property address. Ugh. Okay, it's making me do it. I was trying to just skip through it and just get to the part I wanted to do, but it's not letting me. It's making me choose a property. Ugh. Okay. All right, I put in the names of the seller and I usually don't put anything other than the name for the seller. I'll put the agent's phone number. Okay. I have to put in a price of the property, so I'm just putting something in here. Sorry. Okay, whatever. I don't know, just put numbers in. Agent analysis, going through. Okay, here's the important part. It shows up like this. I have to accept. And now I can see the whole commission, manage commission, and I can see the breakdown. I can see the commission rate, what the total commission is. I can edit it. And that would let me access things like, here we go. Okay, contract date, the close date. And then I can also edit the agent payment. I did $1 million property just because it would be fun. Look at that commission.
Yeah.
I put a lot of zeros on there. Anyway, it shows you the breakdown, right? The whole breakdown. And this is where you're gonna have, like, if you have a referral fee, you just want to make sure you're thinking about it. Of everything you had to do here. Is it 2.5%? Is that right? Did things change? Did I later promise to give back some of the commission? Did I promise, something happened? And just don't hit submit until you're ready to, until it has settled and you're ready to get paid. When you're ready to get paid, you also have to come back to the documents. And under the closed section, you're going to need to upload your settlement statement. You're all done. So you don't have that until it settles, but that's one of the things that are here. Upload your settlement statement. It's going to be required, of course, to do that. All right, we're getting short on time because another group comes in here at 2, so I'm not gonna roll. I want to show you some kind of interesting things here. Okay, generate transaction summary in the upper right corner. I don't know if you've ever looked at that, but it will just give you a summary of the whole transaction. Showing you who all the parties are in the transaction, the dates, the amounts, and everything. Which corner is that? Yeah, so it was just, it's not letting me do it right now.
Right.
In the opportunity, it's right here. It's not gonna let me, here we go, generate. This is kind of a new thing. You might not have seen it. It hasn't been around for a long time, but look what this looks like. It just lets me see everything. I have like a record of the whole transaction. You can print it out. Yeah, download it, print it out, do whatever you want with it. So, to have that. And then I can also see my timeline of everything I had to do. All right, I want to go back to the pipeline though, because we didn't finish talking about all this. So this pipeline is my here's my buyer pipeline. Let's look at that. Let's go back to the whole thing. So in my pipeline, on the right side, I'm going to see my potential and probable income. That's based on the numbers that I put into my transaction. So you saw when we were in each opportunity, remember, even if it was cultivate, the man was asking you to put in an estimated price, you know, and an estimated settlement date, all that kind of thing. And if I put those numbers in there, then Command's gonna give me an estimate. What happens is, when something's in cultivate, Command assumes that there's a pretty good chance it's not gonna settle. You know, cultivate is for people, you know, they're a year out. Some of those are actually gonna buy a house, a lot of them won't, right? As people move further and further along the, you know, the steps of the pipeline, the chance of the transaction actually settling is higher, and Command weights that heavier in the probable income. So that's where those numbers are being used that we talked about earlier. So if you take the time to do that, you're gonna be able to see, that's great, isn't it? Like, wouldn't you just love to see, like, here's what I've got coming up? Yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
So you haven't see that leads that they're, they're saying that they want to sell, they don't know it
Right.
yet. So you can put them there, you
Make
put
an
them there,
opportunity.
that's why you use it as
That's right.
track and call. That's
Right.
where you showed me on your phone yesterday that you can click and call.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the click and call was from a task, so that's different.
Okay.
So that's a different spot, but by putting it in an opportunity, I'm putting it in this pipeline so that I'm not gonna forget later.
Again later, yeah.
Right, so what I'm suggesting to you is you choose a day, let's say every Wednesday,
Yeah.
and that day, like So like, I actually have a repeating to do on my calendar to remind me to just open up my opportunities and just go through my opportunities.
Okay.
And just see who's coming up, you know, and I just kind of double check and make sure. I'm
Well, to
keeping up
call
with
them
it.
would be from the contacts, right?
Either contacts or tasks, either one.
Okay.
Yep, either one. Another thing I want to show you here, we're getting short on time here. You already saw how I can change in the details what phase somebody is in. You can also drag them. Okay, so I'm going to Fred Flintstone right here. If he's moving along, I can just drag him from one spot to another. I can even just put him up to active. So you don't have to do it the way I showed you first. This is the second way that's a little bit more visual if you want to. Totally up to you.
Yeah, yeah, drag it and drop.
Whatever one you like better. All right, our next group, we have like 2 minutes until they're coming in here. So here's where I'm gonna kind of finalize this. Is just kind of to summarize what we went through. You're gonna make your opportunity early on in the process when you have somebody who has the intention of buying and selling, even if they're not ready now. So that, you know, that 12-month person, the 9-month person, make the opportunity in the beginning so that they show up in your pipeline, so that you have a really good picture of what you have coming up, and you have a reminder of who you need to keep in touch with, right? We saw in the opportunities details that you can put in your appointment date, you can, when you schedule it, when you actually hold it, all of those details. And the reason you wanted to do that was so that later on, when you're using that goal setting that we talked about, Command's gonna know how many appointments you went on this year. And then you're gonna be able to track that for yourself and have better, you're gonna have a better grasp on what you need to do to earn the money you want.
Yeah, let's say you have the leads that comes through and all automatically goes into your contacts.
Yeah.
How do you convert them into opportunities? You have to type them again, or you can just switch like.
You just create opportunity, just like we did.
Just like that.
Create
Oh,
opportunity.
okay, yeah.
Just gotta go to
Yeah.
contact.
Each contact and create
Yeah.
opportunity. Okay, okay.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up because we got the next group coming in, but I'm gonna sit out at that table for a minute. So if you have more questions, I'm just happy to hang out and, you know, follow up some more. Next week, we're gonna start getting into designs. And what we'll be doing next week is making either a buyer or seller presentation in designs and a designed postcard. Not postcard, I'm sorry, email. Email's next week. A design for the email. And then, I don't remember what week, but we come back to designs again. So it's not everything in design, it's just a little bit. Hey, so thanks for coming today, and I'll meet you at the table and that's everybody on stage.